So, it's been a long time since I've last uploaded, but yeah, I'm back. And in this video, I'm going to be talking about Top Boy and some of the mistakes that Jamie made that led to his demise. And I'm going to be touching a little bit on Dre as well, Dre from Power, for those of you that have also watched Power. So, yeah, one big mistake, arguably Jamie's biggest mistake, was not picking his battles wisely. He didn't pick his battles right. For example, if you go back to season 3 of Top Boy, or if you go by the Netflix system, it will be season 1. But Jamie, he was in the conversation at that cafe that they're always at, and he was speaking to Deshane. And Deshane was actually trying to compromise with Jamie at first. He even said, "Oh, I'm not trying to step on your toes. If you wanna be short on food, you've got to sell it on your turf. Like sell it in your ends and that." But Jamie was like, "Nah, forget that. I'm not doing that. I'm selling food wherever I want to sell food. I'm gonna put you out of business. I'm gonna destroy my competition." That's the kind of energy he was coming with, and that wasn't a smart move from Jamie. Like I said earlier in this video, pick your battles wisely. That was a situation where Jamie clearly didn't pick his battles right. He didn't, because you got to know who you're up against, and Jamie didn't understand that he was up against someone who's got a lot more experience in the game than him. So he's got a much higher body count than him in terms of, taking people out, and he just knows more about the game. He's far more savvy, far more experienced. He's been doing it for longer. So I'm not saying that he should be scared of Deshane or anything like that, no. But all I'm saying is that there was no need to start beef at that time. Deshane's crew hadn't really done much to Jamie or his crew, so there was no need to start beef. It was unnecessary, and more beef creates more bodies and puts your life at a greater risk. So what was the point of pretty much like starting that whole beef with Deshane? So that's one of Jamie's mistakes, and we see what Jamie did after. And speaking of battles, Jamie was winning the battle in season 3. I remember he injured a lot of Deshane's shotters. One of them, he got his gang, the ZTs, to throw acid at one of the guys that shots for Deshane, and the other one got stabbed. Romy got stabbed. They both lived in the end, but it's crazy. And so Jamie's plan was actually quite smart, though. I have to give that to him. It wasn't a terrible plan. It was quite smart. His aim was to pretty much get Deshane's shotters off the road. So if he injures Deshane's shotters, they'll be too scared to stay on the road and sell their food for him and stuff like that and make money. So they'll be off the road, and that put Deshane out of business, meaning that he can't sell anything. If he's got no shotters, he can't sell food. So that was Jamie's aim. That was his intention, and it was working at first until Deshane showed that he's got more experience, that he's more savvy, that he's more calculated, that he's got a greater ability to think 2-3 moves ahead of Jamie, etc. And he came up with that pretty advanced and pretty clever plan to get Jamie arrested by luring him in, making him think that he's at that cafe, so that Jamie comes in with his crew and tries to kill him, but he's not there, and that whole thing distracts him. And in the meantime, you see the feds going into where Jamie lives, and because he managed to control Ats and get Ats to put the bag containing the food, containing the guns and all that in Jamie's house, and all Deshane had to do now was just call the feds. Feds go there, find the food. He knows Jamie's gonna take the rap for it. Bang. Brilliant plan. And Jamie didn't see it coming at all, but there were warning signs there, but Jamie didn't see it coming at all, because he was just so tunnel visioned in trying to kill Deshane that you couldn't see the bigger picture. You couldn't see what was actually going on. But it all stemmed from him not picking his battles wisely earlier. There was no need to start that whole beef and confrontation and whatnot with Deshane. There was no need for it, especially the fact that Deshane hadn't done anything to Jamie at that point. So this is why I say it's important to pick your battles wisely, and we see the ramifications of Jamie not doing so. And Jamie, he's got a few similarities to Dre from Power, because they're both very ambitious, which is a good thing. However, neither of them know how to play the long game. Jamie, the way that he can't play the long game is because he made the mistake of telling Juan Bueno, and Juan Bueno, like, that's not his boy. That's not your boy. That's not someone that you've known for a long time, that you've built this kind of loyalty with. Like, he hasn't earned your trust. So big mistake telling someone that hasn't earned your trust is the kind of information he told him. And he told him that sooner or later he's going to be working for that the Shane's going to be out the picture and it's just going to be him, something like that. But he's basically implying, I'm paraphrasing here, but he's basically implying that he's going to be the boss and he's going to take out the Shane. That's what he's basically implying. And Juan Bueno has pretty much snitched on Jamie. He told Sully about that. Sully didn't like that, and we know what happens after that. Sully kills Jamie. So that was also arguably Jamie's biggest mistake, or at least one of his biggest mistakes, was telling Juan Bueno that information. But earlier I spoke about how it shows that he can't play the long game, and the reason why it shows that is because if he wanted to get the Shane and Sully out of the picture, first of all, what he should have tried to do was gain their trust first. Be loyal at first, listen to them, be loyal, and make them trust you first. And then when they trust you, that's when you can take them out or do whatever you need to do to be the top boy. But he did it way too early. He literally just come out of prison for a few months or whatever. Did it way too early. And if you do things like that way too early, people are going to see it coming a mile away. So, and telling Juan Bueno as well, rather than keeping it to himself, that was silly. But even if that was silly because we know Juan Bueno told Sully. But even if he didn't tell that guy, Juan Bueno, even if he didn't tell him about his plans, eventually Sully would have found out, I think, or the Shane would have found out, and it wouldn't have worked because he did it too early. He should have gained their trust over a period of a long time, possibly years, and then when you're in a position where, and like maybe build like a good relationship with them, try maybe, I don't want to say, not saying be their best friend, but build a kind of relationship with them, befriend them a little bit, that's what I mean, and gain their trust. And over time they'll start to trust you more, and so that would pave the way for Jamie to then take out the Shane and Sully and do what he needs to do, because by gaining their trust, they wouldn't see it coming, or at least the Shane and Sully would be less likely to see Jamie coming, and therefore killing the Shane and killing Sully would be more likely to actually, like, he'd be more likely to pull it off if he can gain their trust. But yeah, he showed his cards too early. That's what I'm basically implying. So yeah, that was an example of how Jamie couldn't play the long game. And Dre, for you guys that have watched Power, you'll understand the reference here that I'm gonna make. But Dre from Power, he also couldn't play the long game, because with him, he wanted to be the top boy. I know that's not what they call it in America, but he wanted to be the head honcho. Yeah, Dre was so hyper focused on being the boss that he actually snaked his mentor Ghost, because Ghost helped out Dre in a lot of situations and that. And yeah, Dre, for no reason, just decided to, betray Ghost just so that he could be the boss. And his plan worked at first. Again, just like Jamie, I know it's not exactly what they both did, because Jamie never had no loyalty to the Shane. So him telling Juan Bueno what he did, it's not like he's betraying the Shane. That's not what I'm saying. But so yeah, what Dre and Jamie, what they both did there is a bit different situations. But I'm just talking about how they have similar traits in terms of they don't like playing a long game, which was part of both their demise, part of both their downfall. Dre decided to betray Ghost and doing what he did because he was so eager to be the boss, when all he had to do was just wait his turn. Eventually he was going to be that guy, he was going to be the boss. He just had to wait a while. But like I said, he was just hyper focused, wanted all rewards of being the boss right now. He wasn't willing to wait it out, and in the process what he did was create enemies when he really and truly didn't really need to create those enemies. Kind of similar how to Jamie created an enemy with the Shane when he didn't need to. He wasn't picking his battles wisely. Dre here with Ghost picking a battle with Ghost and betraying him. Didn't need to start a beef with Ghost. Didn't need to create a battle with Ghost. And it's even worse what Dre did, like I said, because Dre was actually Ghost's mentee. So why start beef with a guy and start and create problems with a guy and create a battle with a guy that's trying to help you, that's your mentor, etc. So, and at first, like I said, Dre was winning the battle because Dre had Ghost on ropes at first. I remember that scene where he approached him at Reina's gravesite, telling him to like stay the hell away from me, otherwise the Jimenez will kill you. Cold scene. I remember that scene. For anyone that can remember that scene, put your thoughts on that scene. Put your thoughts, whatever you think about that scene, put it in the comment section below. That was one of my favorite all-time power scenes. Brilliant scene, well acted. But yeah, like I was saying, at first Dre was doing his thing, but then we saw what happened in the end. Ghost was able to use his experience in the game, his smarts, his calculated mentality, his ability to think several moves ahead, and we saw what happened. Ghost ended up taking out Dre. Well, I think he paid 2-bit to do it, because when Dre was in prison, and I think he ended up calling the police on Dre as well, or something like that. So in the end, Ghost ended up winning the war. Although Dre was winning the battle, Ghost won the war. Similar to here in Top Boy, Jamie was winning the battle, but the Shane won the war. And yeah, pretty much. But yeah, that's it for this video, and until next time.